Rat Park. Yes, a park built for rats, like a heaven built for rats. Some of you may be familiar with Rat Park and may know where I'm going with this. So let me dive deeper into what this is. There were experiments done in the 70s to learn about addiction. And basically, there were all of these rats that they took and they put them in their own little boxes they had regular water and essentially morphine or heroin laced water. And lo and behold, they all became addicted to heroin. And there's no surprise there, right? But then along came a man who was also a researcher, and he said, wait a sec, rats are social creatures, and they're also pretty intelligent. And you're putting them in these little boxes, 100% isolated from each other. The box is only about 3 sizes larger than the actual rat. And there's no mental stimulation, no cognitive stimulation, no problem solving, and 100% isolation from other rats. The only thing that they have available for any little bit of pleasure is the hard drug that has been given to them that is laced in their water. And so then he goes, wait, I'm going to create Rat Park. And it was about half the size of his garage. And he basically put, you know, things where they can run around and they're socializing and they're interacting with each other. And they have food and they have things where they can problem solve and colorful things to stimulate their minds intellectually and cognitively so they can work through challenges and they are being more viscerally satisfied. And what do you know? The rats who were addicted chose to go on intentional withdrawal. They had in Rat Park, they still had the option of regular water or water laced with heroin. And the rats who were addicted chose to intentionally wean themselves off of heroin. Or if they dabbled in it, it was a very small amount. It was little to none. They used it little to none, and they would undergo intentional withdrawal. Now, this is a rat, right? They don't even know that the heroin water is bad for them, but maybe on some deep visceral subconscious level they do, right? And this is, I believe that this is where the famous saying emerged, where addiction is the opposite of connection. Addiction is the opposite of connection. These rats had all of their deepest needs met. They were able to eat, stay warm, have social interaction, problem solve with results, and they were also engaging in sexual activity with the other rats as well. So they had, for a rat, 100% of its needs were indeed met. And under those conditions, addiction went away. Under those conditions, addiction went away, even when the addictive substance was free and readily available, right there. And so that's the Rat Park experience, the Rat Park experiment. And what I'm going to ask of you is you need to now design and create your human park. What is your human park? You could also call this your superhero theme park. You could also call this your king park. Now, what's a king park? A king park is a kingdom. It's time for you to create your own kingdom. Everyone has their own kingdom. It starts in the home. Everyone has their own kingdom. It starts in the home. Who is allowed in your kingdom? Who is not allowed in your kingdom? What is the physical environment of your kingdom? What are the other people in your kingdom doing, saying, thinking? What are the ongoings and activities in your kingdom? Your kingdom also includes your workplace. Your kingdom includes your community. Your kingdom includes all sorts of things. When your kingdom is complete enough, meaning it meets all of your visceral needs, then addiction has no place in your life. But as long as your kingdom is missing key components, then addiction will always feel like it has to be there. Addiction will feel like it has to be there because it's attempting to fill the place of what actually needs to be there. And in your kingdom, obviously the connection piece is very important. And with connection, there are three very important parts of connection. Now, what the Rat Park experiment talks about is connection with other individuals. That's usually the very obvious one, the one that makes total sense, the one that we all think of first is the way that we connect with other people, the way we connect with other people. But there are two others. The other one is how you connect with yourself. How you connect with yourself. How well do you know yourself to be able to connect with yourself? And how safe do you feel connecting to the true, authentic version of you? So, for example, if we don't speak with full confidence, then we are not feeling safe to connect with who we really are. That means we are disconnected from who we are. That's just one example. When we are scared to show certain emotions, then we might be disconnected to who we are. When we suppress or repress certain emotional responses, then we are disconnected from a very important part of who we are. And we can only connect with others to the depth that you are first connected with yourself. The more that you are connected with yourself on that deep visceral level, then the more you can connect with others. And we need that connection piece to create your kingdom, your, Rat Park comparison. And every time we engage in an escapism behavior or a distraction from ourselves, we are robbing ourselves the ability to connect with ourselves. Every time we rob ourselves with the ability to connect with ourselves, then we are robbing ourselves with the ability to connect deeper with other people. And every time we rob ourselves of that experience, then addiction is going to work extra hard to stay in your life because something very important is missing. And this is very important to be aware of. So we need to unplug from these digital things, turn the screen off, take the earbuds out, have all the digital things off visually and audibly, and just have time where you're not learning the next intellectual thing about whatever, you're not engaging in the news or mindless doom scrolling, or even reading about certain things that could help you on this journey. We need just time unplugged from all of that. Go for a walk, music with no words, things like that. Music with no words is actually a good one. You're still involved in the digital, but it's music with no words, and that can actually help to spark deeper insights and self-awarenesses and connection to self. And what's the third piece of connection? Now, for some of you, you won't necessarily view this as important, and that's okay. But for most people will agree with this. And this isn't really like a right or wrong. I'm not here to argue with you if you don't agree with this one. Like, do your own thing, have your own beliefs, but spiritual connection. And the neuroscience of spirituality says that when we have a spiritual part of our lives, when we deem it as important, and when we experience things that we believe are spiritual, it doesn't matter what our beliefs are, whether we are part of an organized religion or not, whether it's through praying or doing psychedelic drugs or hiking in nature. Neuroscience says when we have spirituality be a part of our lives, and that is important, then it strengthens us to be able to work through challenges and hard times, and gives us a stronger amount of resiliency and strength to get through it and get to the other side. And That's the third part of connection, is the spiritual connection, you know. And so there's connection with others, self, and spiritual connection. Create your human park, your kingdom, and define what it is. Define what it is. And maybe actually give it a name. So, for example, perhaps your name is Mark. Maybe you just want to call it Mark's Kingdom. Maybe you want to call it something totally different. Come up with a name for your kingdom or for your superhero park. Maybe it's a superhero park. And type in the comments below the name that you chose, and also list the most important components that you need to add that are currently missing. Add the most important components that you need to add that are currently missing. And then add some things that perhaps are already there, but are a mandatory and important part of your kingdom. Maybe it's your family members, for example. Maybe it's you stepping into your kinghood and living a life of purpose. What does that look like? What does that look like? What is in your kingdom? What is in your kingdom? What is in your superhero park? What's in your man park? Your human park? Get familiar with this. Get extremely deeply familiar with this. Now, this is essentially speaking about the same thing that we've talked about in other lessons before. It's defining and visualizing and knowing what you want your life to look like, what you want the different aspects of your life to look like, including your identity. How are you behaving in your kingdom? What are you doing in your kingdom? What roller coaster rides are you having fun with in your superhero park? Get deeply familiar with this. Go deep on the details. This is where you want to get as granular as possible with the details, with as many things as you can. People, activities, things like that. And also, you could say, what is not allowed in your kingdom? What are the non-negotiables that are not allowed in your kingdom? What are the non-negotiables that are not allowed in your kingdom? And if something tries to sneak its way into your kingdom that is not allowed, it is forbidden in your kingdom. What are the specific action steps that you will take to mitigate for the forbidden thing that tried to sneak its way into your kingdom? What are those things, and what are the action steps that you take as the ruler of your kingdom to mitigate for the forbidden thing or things, or sometimes it might be people, right? People who treat us poorly and people who try to dim our light. If someone is really trying to dim our light, we're not going to want to let them into our kingdom, or maybe they'll just be on the outskirts, right? They can't be on the inner part of the kingdom. Oftentimes that's the case with a family member who tries to dim your light, like a parent, for example, is the most common one there. So also write the things that are forbidden in your kingdom or in your superhero park, whatever name you want to use. What are the things that are forbidden, and what action steps will you take as the ruler of your kingdom when those forbidden things try to sneak its way in? Maybe it's something that tried to sneak its way in that your subconscious mind is trying to sneak into your kingdom. Or maybe it's another person who's trying to come in and cause harm and stir the pot in a way that's not helpful at all. So, what does your kingdom look like when it's thriving? And what's forbidden? All right, put those in the comments below, the name of your kingdom, what it looks like when it's thriving, what's forbidden, and the action steps that you take to mitigate that forbidden thing trying to sneak its way in. All right, signing off.